34 analog horrors, 7 layers. This is the ultimate analog horror iceberg. We'll start with the more eerie and well-known, but as we descend, the horrors will grow increasingly disturbing and unsettling. Let's start at the tip of the iceberg. Level 1. Gemini Home Entertainment. Gemini Home Entertainment is one of the most iconic analog horror series on the web. It started in 2019 on a YouTube channel called Remy Abode, with short films that looked like they'd been made in the 1980s and 90s. The first episode was titled World's Weirdest Animals. It started by showing clips of 2 burrowing animals in rural Minnesota, the great prairie chicken and the burrowing owl. Things became unsettling when it zeroed in on the third animal, the wood crawler. This large, spider-like creature burrows under the homes of large human families. The next clip shows a wood crawler leaving a house after attacking a family, a clear sign that these creatures are hostile to humans. Then there's a montage of some people in a home, but they are called fake people. Normal-looking people who are aliens wearing human skin. They were trying to act like humans and failing. Suddenly, one of them notices the cameraman and chases after them. Cutting out to the title card and the Gemini Home Entertainment logo before cutting to black. 19 more episodes have appeared on the Remy Abode channel since 2019, each allegedly distributed by Gemini Home Entertainment. They all start with elements of nature, wildlife, or artificial intelligence before switching to a terrifying warning about the world's impending end through an extraterrestrial invasion by parasites. Just a bunch of people goofing around, or a cautionary tale? Only time will tell. The Back Rooms. The Back Rooms can be traced back to an online creepypasta about an expanse of empty, abandoned spaces that can only be accessed by breaking through an otherworldly reality, aka no clipping.
And action.
It all started in 2011 after a photograph of a large carpeted room with fluorescent lights and dividing walls appeared on the 4chan message boards. Several users made up stories about the place, but the only one that stuck was a claim that it was one of the worst places to no-clip to. Not only was there no way out, but there was also something out to get you. This creepypasta took on a life of its own, with fans posting pictures of their back rooms. They also introduced concepts such as levels and the increasingly hostile entities that inhabited this otherworldly space. Then, in January 2022, an analog horror film called The Back Rooms was uploaded on YouTube. It was a short film that appeared as a VHS tape recorded by a filmmaker. The filmmaker had accidentally entered the back rooms in the 1990s. As he roamed the endless hallways, he found cryptic messages and drawings on the wall. That's when the monster found him and chased him till he pushed right out of the backdoor domain. Spoiler alert. This cameraman did not survive. Kane Parsons was just 16 years old when he made the film. Since then, he has made dozens more in his Backroom series that go deeper into the story of Backrooms, including exposing an organization called Async that opened a portal into the Backrooms in the 1980s and conducted research within it. Local 58. In October 2015, a 3-minute-long video from Local 58 was uploaded on YouTube. Local 58 was a public access television channel in West Virginia. It started with a warning about a meteorological event and told viewers not to go outside or look at the sky. But when the message ends to show the TV schedule, the only program shown is ominously entitled Blood of the. This was cut off by another weather warning when suddenly the station was hijacked, and the hijacker assured everyone that the meteorological event was safe and the warning had been lifted. Then they directly demand viewers to go outside. At one point, Local 58 and the hijacker struggle to control the station, but the hijacker wins and puts out cryptic messages about being brainwashed by the moon. The feed cuts to a live view of the moon while what sounds like people screaming is heard before cutting to black. Over a decade, there have been many instances when Local 58 has been hijacked, each time leaving ominous cryptic messages, glitchy footage, and horrific short films, like when a dashcam camera captured a man's GPS leading him right into a creepy forest. When he got out to look around, he suddenly found himself face to face with a monster. As he tried to get away, the GPS kept trying to get him to go back to the monster. But as terrifying as all this sounds, none of it was real. The Local 58 is a horror web series based on broadcasts from the fictional public access television channel Local 58 WCLV-TV. It was created by Chris Straub, and each episode combines unnerving public service announcements with conspiracy-fueled visuals related to the moon or the night sky. Level 2. The Walton Files. The Walton Files is an analog horror series of found footage videos made by Martin Walls, inspired by the Five Nights at Freddy's series. The series kicks off after a man named Anthony finds some old, rare tapes. The tapes exposed what had happened at the Bon's Burgers restaurant before it was shut down and bought by the now-defunct Bunny Smiles Incorporated. Bon's Burgers was an animatronic restaurant created by two college buddies, Jack Walton and Felix Kranken. But somewhere along the way, Felix became an alcoholic and ended up killing 3 people.
All right, messed up.
2 were by accident, the 3rd wasn't. It would be his friend and partner, Jack. He stuffed his body into an animatronic called Bon. Whether Felix programmed Bon to kill or Jack's spirit somehow possessed him is anyone's guess. But Bon started killing employees and putting their bodies in the other robots, with the bizarre logic that he was giving life to the robots. He also killed Jack's wife when she showed up at the warehouse to search for him and hid her bodies in one of the animatronics.
Road broken will fix you. You will beautiful. You will beautiful. You will beautiful.
But neighbors reported hearing a woman scream this time, and Bon's Burgers was closed. Felix moved the animatronic's corpse to a warehouse. There, they continued to kill employees who were sent to reprogram them and hide their bodies. The one witness to the murder was her daughter, Sophie, but she had severe memory loss from heavy medication. One day, Sophie played a new game with characters that looked a lot like Bon's Burgers animatronics. Suddenly, the game started to glitch, showing creepy images about many of the Bon's victims, and started to piece together what had happened. What's next for Zoe on the Walton Files? You'll just have to wait and find out. Mandela Catalog. The Mandela Catalog is an analog horror series set in a fictional town in Wisconsin called Mandela County between the early 1990s and the late 2000s. It was an instructional video for people in the town who were facing a supernatural threat. The first episode is based on a completely different version of the birth of Jesus. In the universe, Angel Gabriel announced himself as the true savior instead of Jesus. But he isn't the Angel Gabriel. It's Satan pretending to be him. The rest of the series exposes their plans to eradicate humanity through psychological torture using demonic, shape-shifting creatures called alternates. While the alternates can't hurt directly, they had figured out the next best thing: get people to hurt themselves. So they would manipulate their victims' televisions, radios, and vehicle GPS systems, driving them to the edge till they ended their lives. When they did, the alternates would assume their identities. The series was created by American YouTuber Alec Kister. To date, 17 episodes have been released, and there are rumors that a movie is in the works. Monument Mythos. With his elaborate backstories and mythologies, Monument Mythos is every conspiracy theorist's heaven. Alex Casanas created it as a fake documentary using compilations of found footage and declassified government documents. The series was set in an alternate version of the United States where things took a very different course. There was an assassination attempt on African-American activist Martin Luther King Jr., but he got away, and there was a terrifying monster hidden in the Lincoln Memorial. Also, popular Hollywood actor and heartthrob James Byron Dean was the president. The series also showed many bizarre and unexplainable events around national landmarks, like immigrants disappearing near the Statue of Liberty and mass graves found inside. There were also immortal Egyptian swordsmen beheading unsuspecting travelers in the Grand Canyon, and a mysterious infection affecting individuals near Mount Rushmore. It was a bizarre world where presidents were elected on the strength of 2-second television broadcasts. The Monument Mythos has 3 seasons and 36 episodes that expose more of this bizarre world. It also has 2 equally riveting spin-off series, The Nixonverse and The Modern Day. Level 3. VHS Tales by Red Diamond. VHS Tales is a 3-part analog horror series by Red Diamond about a bizarre world of murderous predators, UFO sightings, and mysterious shapes. One of the stories is about a man from the fictional town of Etosaviak, Alaska, called Ethan Astor. He was known as a famous photographer until he disappeared on December 10, 1986. Days earlier, the government had ordered an evacuation after many people in town became obsessed with circles. Ethan was one of them. Apart from cocooning himself in the basement and drawing numerous circles on the wall, he also wasn't eating, sleeping, or talking. When it was time to leave town, he and all the other obsessed ones decided to stay and wait for what was coming. It turned out to be circles, squishy-sounding red circles. In no time, the shapes started appearing all over the house. A cryptic message suggests Ethan might have become one of the circles. But one thing was clear. Ethan and everyone who stayed were never seen again. CHSS. CHSS was one of the pioneering works in the annals of analog horror. It was a YouTube web series about a psychological pharmaceutical company based in Washington, D.C., funded by the U.S. government. But between the late 1970s and early 1990s, the facility became haunted by a figure with antlers. The series began with 1 or 2 minute uploaded advertisements for the mental health outreach program and instructional videos. But as the series progressed, details and mysteries were slowly revealed, including warnings about a cagey figure with antlers that would disrupt TV programs. Viewers had to follow up on the series through clues outside YouTube, like Mediafire download links left in the description that led to other documents linked to the series. There was also an in-character Twitter account called Roy Spencer. Roy often warned about the grave danger he was facing, including the revelation that CHSS wasn't what it seemed. The series was created by an elusive Singaporean teenager known by the alias Turkey Lennon III. He was only 15 when he uploaded the first episode of CHSS. Angel Hair.
My name is Angel Gabby. What's yours? That's a beautiful name. It's wonderful to meet you, and I hope we can be friends.
Angel Hair is a mixed live-action and animated web series by East Patches that follows the story of a young man named Jonah Whitman after he finds the VHS tape of an old children's show in a thrift store. The show was called Angel Hair. It was a Christian educational cartoon about a badger named Francis and an angelic hare called Angel Gabby.
Angel Gabby. Oh, Angel Gabby.
Even though he had all the episodes of the show recorded, a nostalgic Jonah bought the tapes and played them at home. But he started uploading them to YouTube when he noticed a difference between the two tapes. Angel Gabby could interact with him, down to calling him by his name. She also had complete autonomy, like speaking off screen and her eyes moving around when they didn't in the VHS tape. Jonah started to notice more and more instances where Angel Gabby interacted with him directly.
The sun is warm sometimes, Jonah, but you shouldn't forget the moments when it burns you.
She even gave him specific but creepy advice.
Do you want your room to feel safe?
Like barricading his bedroom door with a chair and hiding in his closet.
Now let's get in the closet.
Strong hints that Jonah had an abusive father he had forgotten about. But there's every chance that either Jonah or Angel Gabby might have had a hand in his disappearance. As Jonah tried to discover what happened in his childhood, he uncovered more secrets, which invariably led him to summon Angel Gabby into the real world. Angel Hair doesn't run like a regular analog horror. There are no distorted voices, evil demons trying to take over the world, or jump scares. When it starts out leaning in that direction, as the story goes on, it explores more terrifying themes, including abuse, manipulation, loss of innocence, and even murder.
Would you like to try? Very good, Jonah. Now you don't have to be scared, even if he finds you.
Toe. T-O-E. The Orgonet Enterprise is an analog horror series created by Dr. Nowhere on YouTube. The story revolves around a mysterious entity known as the Locust, or the Thumper. This mysterious black, tall creature appears on television screens, phones, and laptops. It stands in a room with vintage-fashioned wallpaper and appears to be friendly, speaking like a child and showing childlike curiosity. But this is just to lure the viewer in.
What do you want?
Once the viewer appears comfortable, the locust begins to break through the screen with its long appendages. Even if the victim hides, the locust will hunt them down. There are still questions on whether the locust victims die from shock or are killed. Some fans of the series believe the locust is a predator with a childlike brain. It isn't killing for fun or to be evil. It's killing to eat, since it knows that humans are meat and meat is food. The only way to escape the locust is to immediately turn the screen off when they appear, or even smash it for added safety. The hints that the locust may possess the soul of a child add an unsettling layer to its character. EAS scenarios. Between 1963 and 1997, the United States established the Emergency Broadcast System. This system allowed the president to reach the American public quickly in the event of war, threat of war, or grave national crisis. Thankfully, it was never used for an emergency, but was used to broadcast civil emergency messages and warnings of severe weather hazards. However, it inspired Emergency Alert System scenarios, also known as EAS scenarios. These fictional broadcasts simulate terrifying end-of-the-world events through emergency alerts. These scenarios feature messages about apocalyptic dangers such as alien invasions, supernatural entities, deadly viruses, or severe weather conditions. The visuals may be different, but they usually follow the same theme.
Whoa! Whoa, 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 whoa! What? Wait.
A sudden change in regular programming, old-style footage with glitchy static effects followed by sirens. Sentences like "emergency alert" and "this is a national emergency" are also quite popular. A cut to the American flag and anthem or the president raising a gun to his head is also quite popular. These effects are meant to create an atmosphere of dread and make viewers feel like they're experiencing a live national crisis. The Sun Vanished was an EAS scenario about the sun drifting away from Earth, with projections that all life on the planet would freeze to death. The final broadcast of the fictional BBC was the national anthem of the United Kingdom. Then the screen dramatically cut to black as two words appeared: "No signal," signaling the end of the world. Maple County. Maple County is a creepy little horror game inspired by the Mandela Catalog, the analog horror series about mysterious creatures called alternates who try to look like ordinary humans to kill them. In the game, the player is trained to identify this threat by watching an old interactive police training VHS tape belonging to Maple County. It's clear that this tape was made early on while the police were still trying to keep the existence of alternates a secret. After the first few minutes, the player is shown a series of faces and has to select who is the alternate and who is the actual person. The next stage is a guide on how to identify these alternates. But as the VHS tape continues, the training quickly turns dark as the video slowly gets corrupted. Suddenly, the player is watching what appears to be a recorded encounter with one of the alternates. The game clocks in at about 5 minutes, but even with that short time, it's known for leaving the player unnerved and terrified. When the game got out, many YouTubers made videos of themselves playing it and getting spooked. The Greylock Tapes. The Greylock Tapes, or the Greylock Archives, is a YouTube analog horror series based on Mount Greylock, Massachusetts. As the series progresses, it becomes clear that all is not well around Mount Greylock. The series unfolds through found footage, audio recordings, and documentary-style clips, exposing a town where everything terrible that can go wrong has gone wrong.
Tape recorder running, and I'm hiding in here with my files. If something happens to me and you find any tapes or files somehow, please bring it to the investigator, Jim Malcolm from North Adams. That goes for this video footage as well.
Come on out, it's the police.
Workers excavating Mount Greylock are slowly driven insane and mutated into bloodthirsty monsters. People disappear or have their bodies twisted into bizarre things. There are TV broadcasts where viewers are assured that everything is back to normal, suddenly hijacked by unknown forces and showing shocking images. There are also unseen creatures called thought forms. They're manifested from the human mind and are highly aggressive, going around brutally killing people for unknown reasons. While we never actually see what happens to all their victims, the terrifying screams paint a very horrific picture. Around town, there are conspiracies that the government is behind a lot of the happenings in the town, from creating thought forms using a device to censoring public broadcasts, and even a presidential assassination to get John F. Kennedy out of the way and allow them to install cameras in home devices. The series, created by Rob Gavigan, is famous for its unsettling body horror and mutations of malformed people with stretched out teeth, no skin, and messed up faces only a mother could love. The gore scenes are so well done, you'd find a couple of Redditors asking if the Greylock tapes are real. The Wyoming Incident. The Wyoming incident, also known as the Wyoming hijacking, is one of the handful of cases where a television broadcast was hijacked. It happened in 2006 in the Niobrara County of Wyoming. Residents were to their TVs when the broadcast was suddenly interrupted by a 6-minute-long video. The video showed numerous clips of disembodied human heads and several cryptic warnings. Every few seconds, the camera position would change, and the video would be interrupted by a special presentation announcement. Those who saw it complained about vomiting, hallucinations, and headaches. Some specialists concluded that the cause of their symptoms was the frequency being played, somewhere between 17 and 19 hertz. At that range, when played for long periods, people have been known to get eye aches and even visual hallucinations. But many believe this broadcast was faked and inspired by the Max Headroom incident of November 1987 in Chicago, Illinois. So, did it happen or was it faked? The internet hasn't decided yet, but the hacker has not yet been caught, and all attempts to trace the video have proven futile. Level 4. Magnitoshoktynskaya Oblast. Magnitoshoktynskaya Oblast is a popular Russian analog horror series based on a fictional region of Magnitoshotskinsk in Russia. The town has become inhabited by various unseen creatures called akratites, and many people who try to establish contact with them get killed or go missing. So the local Ministry of Emergency Situations made broadcasts with drawings warning the population against encounters with these dangerous humanoids. Some of them hid in the basements of abandoned buildings and abducted people, while others hid in closets or under beds to scare children. The broadcasts also showed these creatures' weaknesses and how to get away if one is attacked. Things like grabbing their necks and holding them until they release their victims. The series culminates in a mysterious government cover-up tied to some ancient artifacts. This adds up because the creatures have much in common with evil spirits from Slavic folklore, leading many to suspect the government's warnings were a ploy to put the townspeople in harm's way. The Children Under the House. The Children Under the House is an analog horror film based on some papers found in a repossessed storage locker. The film starts like many unsuspecting horror films, showing an unsuspecting elderly couple known simply as Mr. and Mrs. Clark. They were pillars of the community, known for being friendly and kind-hearted, and owned a restaurant called the Burger Shack in the fictional town of Kate's Crossing. When they moved out of their hometown, a young girl called Jess and her family moved in. Not long after, Jess started to have nightmares about children under the house, asking her to come and play. Jess's father took Jess into the basement to prove to her that there was no one there. Instead, Jess went mute and could only communicate by making drawings with her therapist, Julia. Based on the drawings from Jess, Julia did some investigating of her own and quickly found out that the elderly Mr. and Mrs. Clark were not the kind-hearted grandparents they were portrayed to be. Their restaurant business was a front for kidnapping and hid the victims in their basement, the same basement Jess had heard voices from. When the Clarks found out that Julia was onto them, they tried to kill her, but instead the two met a grim end at the hands of the ghosts of their victims. Even though Mr. and Mrs. Smith committed a heinous crime, no one ever found out. The mystery around the disappearance of the upstanding married couple continues to worry many in Kate's Crossing. No one knows these monsters had gotten their just desserts. Speaking of desserts, it would be a treat if you gave this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. Now to the next analog horror on this iceberg. Super Mario 64 Classified. In 1996, the game company Nintendo released Super Mario 64 for the Nintendo 64 system. It was the first 3D game in the Mario series and centered around the main character Mario and his adventures. Collecting powers and rescuing a princess from his antagonist, Bowser. Or that's what the game was supposed to be. There was a conspiracy that artificial intelligence modified each game cartridge depending on each player's likes and abilities to make the game more entertaining and challenging. So, when people talked about the game in the mid-20s, they realized that they were the only ones who experienced specific scenarios in the game. The Super Mario 64 Classified series was a compilation of the footage from some of these games. They all started the same, but as the game went on, bizarre things would begin to appear, and the scenarios would become very disturbing. Strange characters also appeared, like Stanley. Stanley was a version of Mario without his eyes, emblem, button, and mustache. He was one of the AI programs designed to develop personalized levels for the player. But after years of forced labor and being trapped in the digital world, Stanley began to hate his creators. He would develop dark and hopeless levels that caused some players to have seizures. One dark lore in the series is that Mario's younger brother in the game, Luigi, was locked in a flooded basement to drown. Super Mario 64 Classified was created by YouTuber Greenio, also known as Anilog. In 2024, they wiped many of the videos off their channel, except Super Mario 64, classified and renamed the channel, before disappearing, leaving many fans of the series to speculate about what might have happened. My Happiest Days. My Happiest Days is a short analog horror series that follows the story of a man who discovered some VHS tapes in 2017 among his father's old recordings. He had decided to restore them and put them on YouTube. The videos date back to the late 1970s and early 1980s, but what was supposed to be a series of home videos would show disturbing dark images, strange noises, and morbid cryptic messages. As the video went on, it became clear that he and his father's friends, Marcus Lawson and Hank Reynolds, had become involved in disturbing secret experiments related to a mysterious machine called the Turner Assembly, a machine that could grant immortality by fusing humans and computers into one being. Even though many died after doing the experiments, his father performed them on 2 of his 4 children before his mother found out and ran with the last 2. Undeterred, his father had put his consciousness into his computer and was now trying to manipulate his surviving kids into fusing with the computer so they could be one big family again. The Smile Tapes. In 2021, The Smile Tapes, a YouTube analog horror series created by Pederico, debuted on YouTube with a mix of old corrupted VHS vibes, police reports, and journal logs.
This message is broadcasted to raise awareness of a new drug in circulation, the Smile drug. We advise for you to stay away from any person suspected to be under its influence.
It starts out warning the public about a new mysterious drug that had been circulating throughout the United States black market in the 1990s, killing hundreds. The drug, nicknamed Smile, was made from the spores of a mutated fungus that started as an extraterrestrial microbe. People who used it fell into narcotic mania, laughing uncontrollably till their vocal cords became useless, becoming violent and smiling a lot. Lots and lots of smiling. The broadcast also included tips on survival since there was no treatment for Smile, and there were just two. Avoid eye contact and run away from anything that sounds like maniacal laughter. Those who contracted the Smile were observed in the laboratory, and as the weeks passed, their faces slowly morphed into exaggerated caricatures of a smile until it was contorted. Even after they died, people weren't safe. The fungi released spores into the air, infecting more people. One of the patients kept a log showing his slow descent into madness as the fungus messed with his head, smiling to his heart's content until he died. As the disease spread, more variants cropped up, including one that made the infected people bulletproof. Pretty soon, the world was infested with these smiling zombies, all with the same goal: kill or spread the fungus to as many people as possible. The Oldest View. The Oldest View is a horror web series created by Kane Pixels. It's about a guy named Wyatt who stumbled across a hole in the woods. So Wyatt did what anybody would do. He whipped out his phone and started exploring. What he saw were some stairs that led deep underground. Undeterred, Wyatt climbed in. The stairs led him to a mall that was demolished in May 2023.
I can't tell. Does it go off to the right? Dude, I'm shaking. Jesus.
Somehow this mall manifested itself underground, and the only way in was through a hole in the ground in the concrete stairs. Over the next couple of days, Wyatt explored the underground mall and would make follow-up videos to update his viewers. But one day he made a sinister discovery. This continued until he found out he wasn't alone in the mall.
It's gotta be an elevator.
It was the Rolling Giant, a gigantic puppet with a disturbing face and flower leaf hands on a moving cart. Riley thought it was just a morbid decoration that had been left behind when the mall closed, till it started chasing him. But he fell. Except when his body appeared, Wyatt's body was back in the forest he loved so much. The Oldest View was created by Kane Pixels, and I don't know what fans find more thrilling about the series. The slow burn horror experience, or that the lore is based on a real mall that was closed and a rolling giant that was a popular giant caricature at festivals and parades. Kirby.exe. Remember Kirby, the cheerful pink ball with a talent for inhaling objects or creatures and spitting them out as projectiles? What if there was a lore that painted this ball of sunshine as terrifying? Enter TMK, otherwise known as Too Much Kirby. It was an analog horror series created by Maple Riot and based on the 1996 Kirby commercial about a boy diagnosed with too much Kirby after he had played the game for so long. According to the series Too Much Kirby, a lot worse than turning purple could go wrong. The game caused an outbreak of a deadly disease through a dangerous virus hidden inside. The virus was spread through a mysterious entity called TMK.exe and Kirby himself. Sometimes he takes players into his world where he either murders them or holds them hostage. One time, he transmits the virus to the player, making them hallucinate, damaging their skin, and eventually ending their lives. Level 5. CRT Anomalies. CRT Anomalies is a found footage web series that blends conspiracy theories with VHS-style horror. The subject of the web series was the mysterious happenings at a remote facility in Idaho Falls back in 1986. These included security cameras that captured footage of mysterious figures, eerie audio from a hiker who disappeared after encountering a mysterious entity in the woods,
This leader is provided to permit the projectionist to complete adjustment of focus and sound level before the film begins.
and a slideshow of some unethical drug experiments involving hallucinogenics performed by the CIA that led many to suffer seizures. If things went out of control, they were authorized to kill. All the videos start and end the same way, with a retro VHS-style main menu showing the video segments on the tape and VHS blue screen saying eject. The last of 6 episodes was posted in 2022, and not a pip since. Add that to the anonymity of the person behind the channel, and it has only led to speculation that the footage is genuine, and someone might have chosen to keep the creator quiet permanently.
With Dove, my skin feels wonderful.
Winter of '83. Winter of '83 is a live-action analog horror web series produced by Louis Lovhaug. It was about an investigation into the mysterious disappearance of many people living in the fictional town of Fawn's Circle, Minnesota during a severe snowstorm in January 1983.
Hey!